The flood took everything from this monkey until a stranger appeared. Once upon a time, nestled amidst the emerald labyrinth of a lush jungle, there existed a troop of monkeys who lived lives as carefree as the rustling of leaves in the wind. Among them was a young and spirited macaque, known for his infectious laughter and acrobatic feats among the branches. His days were filled with the joy of discovery, chasing butterflies or swinging from vines, always under the watchful gaze of his mother. Life was a melody, and he, a carefree note in its composition. Then the skies grew heavy with an uncharacteristic gray, shrouding the vibrant jungle in an eerie silence. The playful chatter of the monkeys was replaced by uneasy murmurs. An oppressive quiet descended, broken only by the distant rumble of what sounded like a beast awakening from its slumber. The river, usually a gurgling companion to the jungle's symphony, was now a roaring monster, surging forward with an anger it had never known. Without warning, the floodwaters surged, an angry torrent tearing through the once tranquil jungle. It was a scene of pure chaos. Trees that had stood stoic for years were uprooted, their deep-rooted strength no match for the flood's fury. Nests that had cradled generations of birds were swept away, leaving the branches bare and exposed. In the heart of this watery upheaval, our young monkey clung desperately to a floating branch, his wide eyes reflecting the turmoil around him. The playful spirit that had danced through the trees was now a knot of fear and uncertainty. His mother's reassuring presence, the comforting sounds of the jungle, all seemed a distant memory as the current tugged relentlessly, pulling him away from everything he had ever known. It was a battle against the relentless assault of the raging water, a struggle to stay afloat in a raging torrent. Yet as the days turned into nights, cold and wet, a new battle emerged, the battle against hunger and despair. Every passing hour etched the pangs of hunger deeper into his small frame. Hope, once a flickering flame, threatened to be extinguished by the chilling touch of despair. Each day brought a new ordeal, each night a fresh wave of loneliness. Then one day, as if nature herself had taken pity on his plight, a fallen tree lodged against some rocks offered a temporary haven. This newfound shelter, while not a sanctuary, was a respite nonetheless, a brief pause in his ordeal. Yet even here, the shadow of fear lingered. The surrounding jungle, once a familiar playground, was now a menacing maze of shadows and unknown sounds. The predators prowled close by, their hungry gazes like daggers in the dim light. Overhead, vultures circled, their harsh cries echoing his own despair. But he dared not move, not because he was without fear, but because he had nothing left to fear. All he had left was exhaustion. In this desolate landscape, he curled up, his small body a picture of misery, waiting for whatever fate had in store for him. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows, a soft rustle broke the silence. The sound was so gentle it could have been mistaken for the whispering of the wind. Yet he attuned to every subtle sound, stirred. Emerging from the mist that hung heavy over the soaked earth was a civet. Its lithe form moved with a grace born of caution, its eyes fixed intently on him. It was neither a predator nor his kind, yet it stirred within him a flicker of recognition, a silent acknowledgement of kinship. Hesitantly, it approached, not with predatory intent, but with a demeanor that spoke of curiosity and hesitation. In that moment, there was no hostility, only the raw vulnerability of two wild souls meeting in the ruins of their shattered worlds. The civet, after sizing him up, dropped a half-eaten fruit near him, and then took a step back. It was an offering, an olive branch in the language of the wild. It was also a question, a query posed to the weary monkey. Do you accept my truce? The monkey, unable to respond in words, could only nod feebly. He couldn't have spoken even if he wanted to. His throat was hoarse from thirst and his mouth cracked with dryness. The civet, understanding the unspoken, dipped its head in response and padded away softly into the undergrowth. It returned moments later with water, lapping it up himself first before nudging the rest towards the monkey. They spent that night huddled together under the broken fronds of a palm leaf. The civet's fur, while not as plush as his own kind, provided a semblance of warmth, and its steady presence chased away some of his loneliness. They didn't speak the same tongue, but in the grand theater of life, their silence was eloquent. Their shared glances spoke volumes, weaving a bond of camaraderie that transcended their species. As dawn painted the sky with hues of hope, the civet led him to safer ground, a dry patch shielded by thorny bushes and blessed with the tranquility of solitude. There was no grand gesture, no dramatic rescue, only the silent promise of shared survival. The civet's understanding eyes told him that she wouldn't leave him to face the perils of the flooded world alone. Their mornings were spent searching for food, for any edible morsel that the flood had dislodged from the trees. Their afternoons were dedicated to finding higher ground, always keeping an eye out for lurking predators. Each step was a testament to their resilience, each sunrise a victory over the despair that threatened to engulf them. Slowly but surely, the forest began to whisper its secrets to them once more. The cacophony of the flood receded into a dull roar, replaced by the comforting murmur of life resuming its symphony. Tiny insects hummed their ancient tunes. Birdsong trilled anew, and the rustle of leaves welcomed the return of the wind. Amidst this symphony of recovery, the monkey discovered a new strength within himself. Fear still tugged at his heartstrings, but it was now laced with gratitude. The civet's steady presence had become his anchor, grounding him in the face of the storm. Her knowledge of the unfamiliar territory proved invaluable, her sharp senses often alerting them to dangers lurking just beyond their sight. In turn, the monkey used his agility to help them escape perilous situations. When a tiger, driven by hunger, prowled too close to their shelter, the monkey's sharp whistles guided them to safety. When the river swelled ominously, threatening to engulf their haven, his keen eyesight alerted them, allowing them to scramble to higher ground. They became a beacon of hope for each other, their strengths weaving together to form a shield against the trials that befell them. Yet, amidst this shared journey, a part of him ached for his family, for the troop he had been torn away from. The memory of their comforting presence, the echo of their laughter still resonated within him. Often he would pause, his gaze fixed on the distant treetops, straining to catch the familiar rhythm of their calls. And then one day, as they ventured into the slightly less ravaged part of the jungle, a series of distant calls reverberated through the trees. They were monkey calls, carrying the same cadence he had yearned for so long. Could it be? With renewed energy, he climbed a tall tree, his gaze scanning the familiar silhouettes against the sky. There they were, his troop, their forms etched against the sun-dappled foliage. In that moment, his heart was torn. On one side was the civet, his companion, his savior in the tumultuous aftermath of the flood, and on the other, the promise of reunion with his family. It was a choice, a decision that would alter the course of their shared journey. He looked at the civet, her calm eyes reflecting the sun-drenched leaves. She didn't stir, didn't seem surprised by his movements. In her silence, he found his answer. She had saved him when all hope had faded, had shared her strength when he was weak, had stood by him when fear threatened to consume him. He dipped his head in acknowledgement, in gratitude, and then began his ascent. The climb was not swift, not the desperate scramble of a creature fleeing danger, but a measured ascent, each movement imbued with the memories they had carved together. Reaching his family, he was welcomed with a cacophony of sounds, a mix of surprise, curiosity, and joy. Yet amidst the clamor, he heard a different sound, a soft, knowing meow. It was the civet. From a safe distance, she had followed him, her presence a silent reassurance. He looked back at her, at the bond they had forged in the crucible of shared adversity. The flood had taken everything from him, his home, his innocence, the familiarity of his world. But in its wake, it had brought her, a creature who had chosen companionship over solitude, courage over fear, loyalty over instinct. He had begun the journey as a carefree young monkey, but he returned to his troop a changed being. The flood had tested him, broken him, but in his breaking, he had found a strength he never knew he possessed, a strength born of shared loss and shared survival. And though his path lay with his family now, the lessons he learned from the civet, the echoes of their shared journey, would resonate within him forever. Nature, in its grand design, had woven their paths together. Two souls from different worlds, united by circumstance and bound by an unspoken oath of camaraderie. Their story, a testament to the indomitable spirit of survival, a tribute to the power of companionship and an ode to the healing touch of nature's resilience. For at the end of every path, there's more than survival. There's meaning.